Alrighty, and I am back. This is going to probably be in 3 parts, not 2, but they're going to run concurrently, so you won't have to wait and go out and go back in. At this juncture, what I want to do is I've gotten everything ready to start tearing this apart. And as I said earlier, I'm expecting to be a little bit of a challenge, but maybe it won't be. We'll see. The first thing I want to do is take everything out of the pot that it's currently in. I'm going to try and take out the bottom ones first, because I'm afraid if I pull this out, oh, maybe not. Maybe I can get that out. Yeah. No, I think we're going to do it this way. And I'm going to try and reuse these stones. This is river rock that I buy at Lowe's. It's fairly inexpensive when you're using it as a top dressing, but I'm not just using it as a top dressing. I'm also using it as a filler, because this is cactus and it grows well in it. Now I'm digging kind of far away from the plant because I have no idea how far down these roots go. And I don't want to damage the existing roots. So, and as you can see, there's a lot of my normal potting mix in there. And these are the roots that are in there so far. And I don't know if you can see that, folks, but these plants are a little bit, whoops, they're a little bit on the dry side. I had to move them, and I had to put them in my laundry room on top of my dryer, where they didn't get much light or attention for that matter. So unfortunately they suffered a little bit, and I wasn't able to get to them as soon as I was hoping, so they are a little bit in need of water, but I'm pretty sure they're okay, and I think that they'll bounce back as soon as I get them rehydrated, and we'll be okay. This is my old man cactus. I think he's so cute. He's funny looking. And he has the ability to get very huge. But we're going to put those all back in the same tray when it's done. The only thing I'm going to do differently is take out the I'm going to cut back the Euphorbia. I'm going to cut those down because, as you just saw earlier, they're very, very tall. And they grow very fast. And I think it's because they're trying to search out the light. So that's okay too. I'm just going to keep making new plants from them. Oh, and here we go. Oh, yeah. I forgot. This is another Opuntia. For those of you that just watched the video just previous to this one, this is what I'm talking about, this Opuntia. It's really, it's got very tiny, very tiny prickers in there, and they're really hard to get out. In fact, when I moved that plant on that last video, for those of you that watched it, you saw that I had a paper towel underneath it. When I went to move it from the table to put it back where I had it, I slid my hands under the paper towel, I folded it up, and grabbed the bottom of the pot and set it back where it was supposed to go, and I still got prickers in me. So I don't know what it is about those things, but hopefully somebody will help me out from my last video and we'll know. Okay, I think well, let's take this out of here. And we'll set it back on here. And these I'm going to run through a strainer over a bucket so I don't get all that soil in my drain. And I'm going to try to get as much of the existing soil off that I can and still maybe keep the stones, the river rock. And I've never done it quite like this before, so I don't know if it's going to work or not, but either way it's got to be done. So, well, you all know me. I can't do a repotting without making a mess, ever. But that's okay. That's part of the fun of it, isn't it? Kind of like if you send your kids outside to play, where's the first place to head? The dirt pile. Can't tell them to go out and play and not let them get dirty, right? So, alright. Well, it's over here. Now, I did already clean these with my isopropyl alcohol. This happens to be 50%. I believe I got this at the dollar store. It was either there or Kroger's. Well, it used to be Pick and Save, now it's Kroger's. But I think this was the dollar store brand. Alright, I've also got some rooting powder here. And the reason I have that is I'm going to be cutting from the top of this plant, and you all saw that in the beginning of the video. I'm not going to get up and move the camera at this point. I hope you'll forgive me for that. I just want to really get these out of here, and I want to show you this part though, what I'm doing here. And I don't know if can you see that? Okay. One of the things I like to do is, and I didn't do it with these because I was in a hurry, but I want to try and experiment and see if I cut these on an angle, each one of these to a point, what will happen. I have a feeling what's going to happen is the ends will just callus off to a point, and that's okay. I don't have a worry about that. I have to mention too that this plant has a sap in it. It's a latex, I believe. I've heard it called, and it can cause problems. So be very, very careful when you're dealing with Euphorbia to not get that on your skin if you can help it. And again, like I've said in past videos, I don't have very sensitive skin. I have gotten this on my skin and it hasn't bothered me at all, but there's always a first time, and it can cause blindness too, I understand. So please be careful when you're dealing with Euphorbia. That white sap that's in there is apparently very powerful, and I wouldn't want to see anybody get hurt. So, okay. Well, I think let's do this first. Let's dig out. Get the peewees out of here. I just want to say too, you know, those of you that live in warmer climates where you can buy cacti very readily, should be very thankful for that, because here in Wisconsin it's difficult to come by, and the stores that do have it, they're usually not in very good shape, and they're definitely not anywhere near the size or the price that you have in other states. So you're very fortunate to have that. Oh, look at how good that grew on just that one little root. Do you believe that? Wow. I'm impressed. Okay. Put those with the other ones. There's another one. Not many roots on there for that big plant. And I don't know what that is. I thought it was part of the Euphorbia and it was just deformed, but I don't think it is because it's round. Maybe it's another form of the Euphorbia. But try not to break any roots. Here it comes. Ooh, those are sharp prickers, but they don't stay in your skin for days, like the Opuntia. There's the roots. Like I said, not much there, is it? But apparently that's all it needs to grow. That's kind of neat. A little bit of roots that supported all this plant material. That's something. Okay, now all we have left is the original Euphorbia. And I'll try and get those out. Another one with very little root system on it. And again, I'm trying to stay as far away from the plant as I can while I'm digging in there, because I don't know how far out these roots go. I've never repotted this, so I don't really know what to expect down there. Oh, there's a hunk, it looks like. Okay. Oh, well, I don't know what happened there. There's still roots on it, which is good. But I see a big hunk of roots down here. Can you see that? No idea what that was attached to. I hope it wasn't the piece I just pulled out of there. I got a hunch it might be. Or maybe it was part of the bigger original plant. That's possible. But these root very easy. I brought out the rooting powder just for extra measure, but I don't believe, in fact I know I did not use that the first time because I didn't have any at the time that the very first time that I cut this plant back, I just cut it with the scissors and then I stuck it back in the soil. I didn't even let it callus over, and it grew. It took right away, and you can see how it's grown. So my experience with this plant has been it can be propagated very easily, which is wonderful for those of you that are into that and enjoy propagating plants. It's a quick reward compared to some. I know some of our plants take forever when we're trying to make new plants through propagation, and some of us, even the most patient of us, can be frustrated at times with that, because you check it every day and you change the water every couple of days and you make sure that you're doing all the right things, and you keep looking at it and waiting for that tiny little piece of white to be sticking out to give you a sign of hope, and it just seems like it takes forever to get here. But we know that eventually it does. Usually, anyway. That root is part of this plant. So, I think I'm going to just grab a hold of it. I've already got a ton of prickers in my hands. These bigger ones are not so bad. The smaller ones are a little harder. Have a little more prickers. Okay. Can you see that? That's a good root system. So, in order to avoid having to, and I'm worried right now that I'm going to break this off on the end, so what I'm going to do is set this down right away. Alright. We're done with that. Oh, okay. Alright, folks, we got it out. Now my next step is going to be to clean this up. And as I said, I'm going to wash my stone. And then I'm going to, I noticed my hubby just got home. So I'm going to go corral him before he gets too busy with something and see if he can drill these holes for me. I'm going to wash out this tray. We're going to put some drainage holes in here. And then it'll sit on top of this gold plate. And that'll give it good drainage, which is what we were after. So that's really the sole purpose for doing this, in addition to giving it some fresh soil and a new start, and also to cut back on the Euphorbia. So that's what we're going to do, and I will be back in a little while, and I will show you too how I'm going to cut these big Euphorbia stalks, I guess we would call them. And that's it for now. Alright, so stand by. I'll be back shortly. Okay, and I'm back again. Well, I left out. My husband was able to drill the holes for me that I needed in this tray, and that's going to drip onto this platter. And then I have this one. It's only got one drainage hole, but I think that'll be fine. It'll be plenty. Those of you that know me know I like to start with clean equipment. This is clean. It's stained. I'm sure if I scraped and scraped, I could probably get that out, but I don't worry about that. It's just the loose stuff that I have to get off. Okay. So, now we're going to put this all back together, or at least we're going to try. And again, I have not done this before, so bear with me. I think the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to, oh, and he also cleaned my stones for me outside on a screen and got most of the old dirt off. There's still a little bit in there, and there's still, you'll see some little green turquoise color balls in there, and those are old fertilizer balls. They're very, very old. I'm quite sure there's nothing left in there as far as nutritional value, so we're going to reuse this. And that's something you have to be careful with too, because if you don't know how much you have, if you buy soil and it's got those fertilizer balls in there, you don't know how much is in there, and they're slow release. So if you're using that soil and then you're adding more fertilizer, whether it's organic or synthetic, you could be over fertilizing your plants, so be careful with that. But like I said, in this case, these are so old, I would be very surprised if there's anything left in there. And again, I could be wrong about that, but in my experience, I've learned over the years that most of those things only last for about 6 months, 3 to 6 months, and these have been in here for quite a number of years, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, I think the first thing we're going to do is cut down this big Euphorbia, and hopefully we will be able to do that without too much trouble. I don't have a lot of working space here because I want to try to make sure that I stay within screenshot. Alright, we got a little bit of stone, and then we're going to put some soil. Not a lot. I don't remember where I got this recipe from, but I've been doing it the same way for pretty much my whole adult life, and it works for me. So I'm going to put some sand, and this sand I get at, I believe, I'm pretty sure I got this at Lowe's, but most Lowe's or Home Depot, the big box stores, they all carry it. They have different kinds and different colors. This is just, or I might have even gotten this at Stein's, but I don't think that's a national store, so I try not to mention that if that's where it was from, because then he won't be able to get it, and I know how frustrating that is. Okay, so we got a little soil in here, and a little sand, and the rest is stone. I'm going to put a little bit of more soil on the top, not a lot. And basically, I mean, I'm not quite sure why this recipe works. I'm assuming because it's got a lot of drainage. It dries out quickly. And I guess the minerals come from the soil. So once the minerals run out from that soil, then of course you have to feed it. And you're not going to take the soil back out, but I wonder sometimes if I couldn't just plant these in regular stone and soil and leave the soil, stone and sand and leave the soil out completely. I don't know. I'll have to research that, and maybe I can bring that back to my viewers someday in the future. Okay, so let's get this big guy out of here. Now I have to decide what I want to do. And I think what I want to do is cut this in half, because it grows so quickly and I don't want to have to do this again for a long time. Now I do have those, I have these other pieces here. Well, my cotton balls are getting stuck to me. And I'm going to make up 2 trays in addition to fixing this one. One is for my daughter and one is for my granddaughter. And I want to make sure that you're getting this. Okay. Now this is the part that I want to just take one moment to caution you again. Be careful that you don't get this squirted in your eye, the juice from this plant, because I guess it's a latex type sap that comes out of there. It's very sticky and it's supposedly poisonous. I don't know how poisonous it is. The research that I did do, I was satisfied to be able to do this without, wearing gloves and what have you. But I don't have very overly sensitive skin either, and they do say that if you do, not to touch that sap, and definitely do not get that on your eyes. And I've heard different things from different sources that contradict each other, so I'm not pretending to be an expert on this, folks. I just want to make sure that you understand that there is that possibility when you cut this open. Be very careful, okay? Alright, and as I said before, I think my first cut is going to be straight across, and then we'll fix it from there, right? I got to decide how much of this I want to put back in here. That's my dilemma right now. So, and I want to make sure that everybody gets a piece of this. And I've got 3 of these. Okay, so 1, 2, I think I'll put this big one back in there. I'm not sure if I want to do that. It's all winding all over, but maybe I will. I wish you guys could talk to me while I'm doing this so you could give me your opinion, because I'd love to hear it. Maybe I will. I'll just put it back in there, okay? It's okay that it's like that. Kind of wonky, kind of different. Okay. Alright, so we're going to save this one for me. And then I'm going to, how far down do I want to cut these? I guess that's my next thing that I have to decide here. Whoa, banging into the lights. And, oh, I can already see I'm going to have to take some of that out of there. That's okay. Not a big deal. There's always a way to fix it. I think I'm gonna, and I have a thing about being asymmetrical. I hate things that are symmetrical, and by that I just mean even. So I don't want them all, I want them to go different heights. So let me think about this. And I kind of like the one with the 2 sticking out of it, so we definitely want to keep that one. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to take this and cut it straight across. I know you probably can't see that. I wish. I'm cutting between these two, between the end one and the big one, the big clump. It's coming. Okay. I try to cut as little as possible and then just kind of pull to untangle the roots if I can do it that way. Now this plant, I'm going to say is it's got to be 3.5, 4 feet tall. So I think I'm going to cut it right here. Nope. I'm going to cut it down here. So we're going to set this down. And again, I knew this was going to be quite an undertaking when I started thinking about doing it. I am closing my eyes as I cut this, folks, because if it should squirt, I don't want that to get in my eyes. Alright. Now, remember when I said I kind of want to do it on an angle and see what happens? That's what I'm going to do. And I think I want to use a little bit of rubbing alcohol on my scissors again. Just to kind of keep it. I should have really done that before I cut the plant after cutting that soil, but better late than never. Okay. I'm going to cut this Can you see what I'm doing here? I'm going to cut this on an angle, and again, I'm going to place the scissors where I want to put it. I'm going to close my eyes and look away, and I'm going to cut. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing on all 3 sides. Place the scissors where I want it cut. I'm going to cut it on an angle because remember I'm trying to get a point up here as opposed to a flat top. Again, put the scissors where I'm going to cut it. I'm going to close my eyes and turn away and cut. And one last time. Put the scissors where I want it. Turn away and cut. Alright. That is it. That's the best we're going to do. I guess it could be a little bit sharper, but I'm not going to worry about it. I think that looks pretty good. And we still got a lot of roots down here. Okay, so that's one. And that is going to go in this big one. And again, that sap is running down the side of it. I think you can see that now. And just because I'm going to be doing so much of this right now, I am taking that extra precaution to wipe that off my fingers. As I said before, I have gotten this on my hands in the past a few times, and it's never bothered me, but you just never know, so we definitely want it, and it's very sticky. It's like glue. It's like Elmer's glue. So I'm going to take that off just to be on the safe side and carry on. Okay, so we've got one done. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a long video, but alright. You know, I think instead of bringing you all along with me on this, because If you saw me do one cut, you're going to know how I did the rest. And I'm afraid this is going to turn into an hour-and-a-half video if I try to do this all on camera. So I think I'm gonna cut these and get them ready to plant. And then when I get to that point, I almost said I'll call you back. No, I won't call you back. But I will turn the camera back on and film the rest. And then hopefully we'll be at a point where that'll be the finished project. Project. All right, and if not, this could turn into 4 parts, I guess. But, all right. I'll be back in a moment. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm back. Took me a little longer than I expected to finish my project, but there it is, all done. I got all new soil, sand, and river rock, and put everything kind of back in place. And I did take the you know what, if you just bear with me a moment, I'm going to remove you from my tripod because it's not going to work very well otherwise. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, that's better. This is my original cactus dish. And if you remember where we left off, I said I was going to cut back the Euphorbia, which I did. And I demonstrated that a little bit ago. And this is where we were left. This actually looks a little taller than it is. It's now, that tallest piece is probably about 2 feet. And I cut another 2.5 feet off of it. So the camera isn't picking up the dimensions of this very well, but it looks much, much better. And I put everything back in place and gave it a good watering. And now we've got good drainage, so I don't have to be afraid to water anymore. And then in addition to that, I created a plant for my daughter and my granddaughter. And these are the cuttings that I took. Now, I know that traditionally you're supposed to allow them to harden off. I've never had to do that with this plant, and I've taken quite a few cuttings from it. I just cut them off, stick them right back in my medium, and they root. So I think they're going to be fine. I'm going to keep them at my house for a little while, just because they've been through a lot, and I don't want to have to worry about shocking them by going out in the cold, and then having to get used to a new environment all at the same time. So I'm going to keep an eye on these, and once I feel that they're starting to root, then the girls can take them home. So there's no waste, and we accomplished our goal. Going to try and back up here when hopefully I won't trip over anything, and give you a good view of the whole table. And this, some of you will recognize as my dining room. But it's still, the plant is still pretty tall, as you can see. But that's okay. Alright, folks, this video is probably getting really long. So I am going to say goodbye. And I'm going to go upload this to YouTube, and hopefully I've helped somebody, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And I'm very happy to be done with that. So, on to the next thing. Alright, thank you very much for coming again, and hope to see you or be back with all of you soon. I have more videos planned that I think you'll enjoy. So do come back. And until then, take care. Bye-bye now.